I'm Kelsey, 25, and I'm about to tell you how I accidentally broke up with my boyfriend by trying to test him. Stupid, right? But hear me out. When I first met Mark, everything was perfect. Like, the kind of perfect you see in movies but never actually experience in real life. He was cute, funny, and actually listened when I talked. We had cute dates, picnics in the park, trying new restaurants, walks along the river. He sent thoughtful texts throughout the day, not just hey or what's up, but actual questions about my day and things I'd mentioned in passing. He'd remember little details I'd forget I even told him. The cuddles were amazing. He'd just hold me while we watched TV, no pressure, no expectations, and the compliments they never felt fake or forced. He'd notice when I changed my hair or wore something new. He made me feel seen, you know. This went on for about 3 months. Bliss. Then I don't know what happened. Maybe I got bored. Maybe I started wondering if it was too good to be true. Maybe I just couldn't handle being happy for too long. Whatever it was, I started changing the rules. Suddenly, things that were fine before weren't fine anymore. I'd turn every disagreement into a whole thing. Like, if he suggested a restaurant I didn't like, I'd make it into a podcast episode about how he never listens to my preferences. If he was 5 minutes late, I'd go on about how he doesn't respect my time. I started throwing actual tantrums if he didn't double tap my selfies within 5 minutes of me posting them. Who does that? Apparently, me. I'd say things like, you should just know when I need things. Bro, I'm not psychic. Which makes zero sense, because if anyone's psychic in a relationship, shouldn't it be the person who's actually communicating their needs? Mark tried. He really did. He'd ask what was wrong, and I'd say nothing but then be mad that he couldn't read my mind. He'd suggest we talk about whatever was bothering me, and I'd say I was tired or not in the mood. Then I'd be mad that he didn't push harder. I slowly stopped putting in effort. I stopped planning dates. I started replying to his texts slower and slower. I forgot to compliment every outfit, like I was supposed to be his personal queer eye stylist or something. 9 months in, Mark was pretty much checked out emotionally. I could tell, but he was still there physically. Probably because breakups are annoying and he was still trying to be a decent person. Me. I was too wrapped up in my own head to notice how much I was pushing him away. Then one night, I called him over to my place. I had wine poured, looking all serious like I was about to serve him court papers or something. When he walked in, I hit him with it. You're not enough, and I deserve better. The look on his face stunned, hurt, but also kind of relieved. I didn't get it. I expected him to cry, or beg, or get angry. Instead, he just nodded and said, "Okay, I won't waste your time then." Then he stood up and walked out. No fight, no speech, no dramatic anime flashbacks. Nothing. I was floored. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to realize what he was losing. He was supposed to fight for me. He was supposed to beg for another chance, like he was auditioning for The Bachelor or something. Instead, I got the quiet quit. He went home, blocked me on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, even LinkedIn. He nuked the whole digital trail, treated this breakup like it was a witness protection relocation. The next morning, I woke up to the most peaceful silence. Sunlight was hitting my room differently. I made eggs without getting judged for using too much salt. I didn't check my phone once all day. It was nice, but also confusing. Where was the groveling? The "I miss you" texts? The attempts to win me back? A mutual friend texted me later, "Bro, he's freaking out." No, wait, that's not right. The text was, "Hey, Mark seems really calm. Just checking in on you." I replied, "He's probably just pretending to be fine. He'll come around." But he didn't. Days went by. Nothing. So I started creating fake accounts to watch his stories. Classic burner accounts. Jennifer Loves Plants follows him and immediately likes a gym selfie from 2017. Pathetic. I know, but I needed to know what he was doing. I got texts from unknown numbers saying "miss you." Sweetheart. I didn't reply. I mean, obviously it was him, right? Who else would it be? But no, it wasn't. It was just spam. I was losing it. I literally fired him from the boyfriend role. That's what I told myself. I fired him, like it was a job and not a relationship. And suddenly, I was able to do all the stuff I didn't have time for because I didn't want to get lectured about not spending enough time with him. I met Piper at a mutual friend's art show. She was funny, chill, actually liked documentaries that weren't about serial killers. We started seeing each other casually. She didn't interrogate me about emojis in my texts. She called me out once when I trauma dumped on our second date. And somehow it made me like her more. Then Mark saw a picture of Piper and me on my story. Oh boy! Did he backslide harder than Windows? He started showing up coincidentally at my gym. Started hitting on my friends. Asking why I was ghosting him. Told people I was the one who dumped him without explanation. Conveniently leaving out the part where I tried to emotionally manipulate him like a Sims character. Zach's birthday party was coming up. Mutual friends said Mark might show up. I decided I was still going. Showed up with Piper. Had a few drinks. Tried to avoid drama. Mark walked in dressed like it was a revenge fashion montage. Locked eyes with me across the room. Intensity 10 out of 10. Boss music probably started playing in his head. He walked straight over like he was the main character. So you're just pretending I don't exist now, he said. Mark, this isn't the time or place, I said. He started raising his voice. Ranted about how I was boring and predictable. Said he was tired of my mediocre ass. An audience was forming. I was done. You told me I wasn't enough, I said. I respected that and walked away. You could have let it end clean. He started shouting about how it was a test. His friend Amy in the background was nodding like a cult leader. I pulled up my phone, showed him the text from him and his friends telling me I failed the test. Showed him the security cam screenshot of him parked outside my place at 2. So, this isn't cute. Mark, it's obsessive. I said, I'm giving you 5 minutes for closure. Then I want you to leave. Mark sat down and gave me this speech about how he didn't mean it. How he only said I wasn't enough to test me. How he's willing to give me another chance. The audacity. I'm done being graded like a high school project. I told him. He tried to guilt trip me, said I moved on too fast. I moved on the second you decided I wasn't worth the effort, I said. Mark started crying. Said I was making him sound crazy. I'm not making you sound crazy. Mark, I'm telling you what you did. You've been warned multiple times. If you show up again or contact me, I will escalate legally. I never actually filed a restraining order, but the bluff worked. He left. Piper was still around after all that. We're not glued together like teens, but it feels adult. Mutual. Actually fun. You shouldn't test a guy who's already 1 foot out the door. But that's not the end of the story. Not by a long shot. A few weeks after the party, Mark started spreading rumors about me. Told people I was cheating on him with Piper before we even broke up. Told people I was emotionally abusive. Told people I was crazy. None of it was true. But that didn't matter. People love drama. People love a good story, especially when it paints someone as the villain. Mutual friends started distancing themselves from me. Invitations stopped coming. Group chats went silent without me. I tried to set the record straight, but the more I denied, the guiltier I looked. The lady doth protest too much. One friend texted me, like quoting Shakespeare makes you sound smart or something. Piper stood by me, though she saw through Mark's bullshit. He's just trying to make himself look like the victim, she said. Classic manipulator behavior. But the damage was done. My social circle was shrinking. My reputation was taking a hit. All because Mark couldn't handle being dumped. Then things got really weird. I started getting followed. Not just online, but in real life. I'd see Mark's car parked down the street from my apartment. I'd see him at the grocery store, always in the same aisle as me. Always coincidentally there. I'd get calls from unknown numbers that would hang up when I answered. I changed my route to work. I started taking different ways home. I stopped going to my favorite coffee shop. I was letting Mark control my life. Even after we broke up, Piper noticed how on edge I was. You need to do something about this, she said. This isn't normal. So I did. I filed for a restraining order. This time for real. It was a pain in the ass. Court dates. Paperwork. Having to recount all the creepy things Mark had done. But it was worth it. The day the restraining order was served, Mark lost it. He showed up at my apartment, screaming and crying. How could you do this to me? He yelled. After everything we've been through. There is no we anymore. Mark, I said. There hasn't been for a long time. You need to leave before I call the cops. He didn't leave. He kept yelling, so I called the cops. They came. They arrested him for violating the temporary restraining order. It was messy and public and humiliating for him, not for me. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Mark started posting about me online, not just on his private accounts, but on public forums, on community pages, anywhere he could. He posted pictures of me, screenshots of our texts. He must have saved them before I blocked him. Even my address and phone number at one point. I reported the posts, but new ones would just pop up. It was whack-a-mole, and I was losing. Then came the death threats. Not to me, but to Piper. Leave her alone, or you'll regret it. She's mine. Back off. Creepy, violent stuff. Piper was scared. I was scared. We talked about moving, about changing our names, about going completely off the grid. But why should we have to upend our lives because of some psycho ex-boyfriend? Instead, we fought back. We documented everything, every post, every text, every coincidental sighting. We took it to the police. They took it seriously this time. Cyberstalking, harassment, threats. It was all illegal, and it was all happening. The police arrested Mark again. This time, the charges were more serious. This time, he might actually face jail time. But even that wasn't the end. Mark's friends started coming after me, saying I was ruining his life, saying I was overreacting, saying I was the real problem here. You broke his heart, one of them told me. Can you blame him for acting out? Yes, actually, I said. I can blame him. There's a difference between being sad and being a stalker. They didn't get it, or maybe they didn't want to get it. Maybe they liked the drama as much as Mark did. The trial was a circus. Mark showed up looking like he'd been sleeping in his clothes. He tried to represent himself, which was a disaster. He rambled. He cried. He accused me of all sorts of things I didn't do. The judge wasn't having it. The evidence was clear. The testimony was damning. Even Mark's own friends, when questioned under oath, admitted that he had been acting a little crazy since the breakup. The verdict: guilty on all counts. Mark was sentenced to a year in county jail, followed by 5 years of probation. He was ordered to have no contact with me or Piper, to stay off social media, and to attend anger management classes. Part of me felt bad. A small part. The rest of me felt relieved. Finally, it was over. Finally, I could live my life without looking over my shoulder. Piper and I moved to a new apartment in a different part of town. We got new phone numbers. We tried to rebuild our lives. But the damage was done. My trust in people was shattered. My faith in humanity was shaken. I started seeing potential marks everywhere, guys who seemed too good to be true. Guys who might turn psycho if I broke up with them. Piper was patient. She understood. Not everyone is like Mark. She'd say, most people are normal. Most people can handle rejection. But I wasn't so sure. I'd seen the dark side of human nature. I'd seen how quickly love can turn to obsession, how quickly affection can turn to aggression. A year passed. Mark got out of jail. We heard through the grapevine that he'd moved to a different state. Good. Far away from us. Piper and I are still together. It's not perfect, but it's real. We don't test each other. We don't play games. We communicate, even when it's hard. We respect each other's boundaries, even when we don't understand them. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't told Mark he wasn't enough, if I hadn't tried to test him, if I'd just been honest about my feelings instead of playing games. But I can't change the past. All I can do is learn from it. All I can do is try to be better, to do better, to love better. Mark taught me a lot about myself. He taught me that I have a tendency to push people away when they get too close. He taught me that I use tests and games because I'm afraid of being vulnerable. He taught me that I'd rather be in control than be happy. Those aren't great lessons, but they're important ones. They're lessons I needed to learn, even if the teacher was a psycho ex-boyfriend who couldn't handle being dumped. Life's weird like that. Sometimes the worst people teach you the best things about yourself. Sometimes the most painful experiences lead to the most growth. I don't regret breaking up with Mark. I regret how I did it. I regret the games I played. I regret the hurt I caused. But I don't regret the person I've become because of it. Stronger, wiser, more careful with my heart and other people's. That's something, I guess, that's something